أرحم الراحمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولي الصالحين. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا وحبيبنا مولانا محمد الذي أرسلته رحمة للعالمين بل للكافرين بل للناس أجمعين بل للعالمين صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. In today's khutbah, we are going to focus on one hadith, just one hadith. And this hadith has been narrated by many ulama, Imam al-Tirmidhi, Ibn Sa'ad, al-Bayhaqi, Tabarani, and Qadi Iyad, many great ulama. And we need to pay attention. Pay attention in this khutbah. Every khutbah, pay attention. Some people, they yawn, and they yawn too loud. And they can't have the sunnah, they need to know the sunnah of how to yawn. And this is a big disaster for this ummah. When we're leaving the way of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the khutbah is being produced, and we have people talking in the back, not listening, yawning loud, not even knowing which hand to put on the mouth and what to say when you yawn. And then we wonder what's happening in the ummah. We wonder why our children are not becoming Muslim or holding on to their deen, because we forgot adab ad-deen. And I'll give you a better example. We've forgotten adab an-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is why today we want to deal with one khutbah, and we want to talk about this khutbah. Please listen, wake up inshaAllah ta'ala, because your children depend on you. Your wife depends on you listening in this khutbah. And you're going back and telling her, and alhamdulillah, these khutbahs are being recorded. We've got nothing to hide. They're on the YouTube. Type in the name, inshaAllah, and you can listen to the khutbah again if something you missed. Because these khutbahs, many things are in these khutbahs. And some people will listen to one thing, and we need to turn our mobile phones off. Please, turn the mobile phones off. Barakallahu feekum. Even the Christians, when they go to the churches, they turn their phones off. Subhanallah. So please, we have signs, subhanAllah, we're an ummah of iqra, and we don't even read the signs. Turn the mobile phones off, open your ears. In this hadith, we find that Hassan, the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a beautiful hadith. Sayyidina Hassan, he goes, and he has this burning desire, this shawq, and he says to himself, I need to know about this Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My grandfather, I need to know. Because he was very young when the Prophet passed away sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says in this hadith, narrated by Imam al-Tirmidhi and many of the great Sahaba and many of the great ulama, he says, وَأَنَا أَشْتَهِي أَنْ يَسِفَ لِي شَيْءٍ. And I was desirous, craving, I had this urge to do what? To know something about my grandfather, to know something about my Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was 6 years old when the Prophet passed away. And he gives a reason why. التعلق به صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم. التعلق. This is what his niyyah, this is what his maqsad, this is what he wanted. التعلق. So these are two youth, Sayyidina Hassan or Sayyidina Hussein. And this khutbah is about these youth. And many of us, our youth, are not the best of youth. So we need to find out how are the good youth. So we find that he then goes to his uncle. And his uncle was what's known amongst the Arabs, wassaf. And a wassaf is somebody who's able to describe to you that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his uncle Hind was famous for being able to describe the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he looked and what he did in great detail. So he went to him, Sayyidina al-Hassan, and he asked his uncle Hind, and he described to him what the Prophet looked like, and how tall he was, and how he used to speak, and how his colour of his skin, and how he used to walk. Very beautiful descriptions which we heard last week. And then Sayyidina Hassan then became happy, and he said to himself, I'm going to keep this to myself. I'm going to see if my brother Al-Hussein is going to have does he have the same interest? So he said, كَتَمْتُهَا زَمَانًا. I kept it to myself for a period of time. And then I decided to go and ask my brother Al-Hussein, to ask him about this. And Al-Hassan found that Al-Hussein had already spoken to his uncle before him and had already gathered this information, and he wasn't satisfied with this information, and he went to the next available source who could tell him about the Prophet in more detail, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, which was his own father, Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was the father of Al-Hassan and Hussein. And Al-Hassan was very surprised at this. He didn't think of going to his own father, who was spent a lot of time with the Prophet. And he found that his father, Sayyidina Ali, told Al-Hussein 3 things extra. He described to him how the Prophet, how he was when he went home, what he used to do at home, things that people don't see outside, and how he was when he left home, and how he was, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in the gatherings. 3 things: how he was at home, how he was when he left his house, and how his gatherings were, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we need to know, because we need to make our time at home like him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we need to compare. So find out how you're spending your time and how your youth are spending their time, inshaAllah ta'ala. So he then described that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to divide his time up to 3. Please, somebody give the man a chair. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to split his time into 3. Now this was not between ITV1 or BBC 3 or the Playbox or Facebook or Sky TV. His time, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was split into 3. Juz lillah, a time for Allah Azza wa Jalla, he'd worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a portion was for his family, spending time with his family. And let me tell you something about our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He used to clean his house. He used to help his wives cleaning. He used to help them in making the house tidy. He used to sew his own clothes. He used to do many things that many of our men now don't want to do and think it's the wife's role. However, the best of the creation, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, used to clean. Used to help in the house, used to help in the cooking, used to help doing some of the chores of the house, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And you're more busier than him, you don't have any time. Like he had less time than you, but he still found time for this. And 1 juz was for his own self, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. 1 juz, 1 portion is for his own self. And he then, Sayyidina Ali then says, however, this juz, this portion he had for himself, he split into 2. His own spare time, he would split into 2. Half of it for people coming to visit him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the rest of the time, 1/4 is for himself, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he would give priority to those people, those Sahaba who are older, those Sahaba who have a lot more to give to the Ummah. And he would not hide anything from them, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he would busy them. He would busy them with things that were beneficial for them and for the Ummah. And he would reply to them in the best of ways, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he used to leave his house with sweetness. And the ulama say either he would give them something to drink or he would give them sweetness. They would feel uplifted, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he would ask them about the people. How are they okay? Any problems that the people have? And he would tell them, people who used to visit him, go back and teach these people who can't come to see me, go back and teach. And if anybody has any problems, tell them to come and see me. And if they can't see me, then tell them to send somebody to see me. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this is our Prophet's time at home. Split between Allah Azza wa Jal, ibadah, split between his family, spending time with his family and his children, and 1/3 split between himself, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and for people coming to visit him and teaching and benefiting the Ummah. And he would make sure that the people coming to visit him, they would be busy with going out to do something that's going to benefit them, and he would not get them busy with things that have no benefit, no use. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in terms of him leaving, how he would leave the house. Sayyidina Ali went on to explain that when he left the house, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he used to watch his tongue from talking bad. He used to guard his tongue from talking bad, from backbiting. And this is something, subhanAllah, even people who come to the masjid, some people come. Some people even come to the masjid and they backbite to catch the gossip. What's going on? And some people backbite in the toilets, and some people even backbite in the khutbah. And they think, mashallah, we've given our haqq, you've done nothing. But you've gained sin. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, most of the time he would remain silent. He wouldn't be talking. Some people talk too much, subhanAllah. Nothing to say and saying it too loud, some people. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, despite this, when people came to him, people feel relaxed, they feel comfortable. They wouldn't find a too extreme, religiously extreme person always shouting. He would try to be very open, always smiling, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he respected people, elders. He respected the people who were elders in the community and leaders in the community. And at the same time, he would warn people. And sometimes he would tell people off for doing something. And this is not because he hated people, because he had rahmah in his heart for these people, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he had the concern for people who are missing, who's sick, who's not here. Are they okay? What's wrong with these people? And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, would do something that's very, very useful. That now even psychologists, child psychologists now are talking about that people should be doing with their children. He would, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would praise people for doing good things. He would recognize, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when people did good things, he would recognize. And he would praise them, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he would encourage them. And this is something we have to do with a lot of our youth. Encourage them. When they're doing something good, when they've done well at school, when they've achieved something, encourage them. Give them a reward. Say this is good. Some people, they only speak to their children when their children do something wrong. That's all they hear. Negative. And you say to the parents, why don't you say anything good to your son? He goes, well, I don't need to say anything good because he's doing good. But when he's bad, then you can tell him. That's good, like, at the same time praise your son. Because he only hears negative from you, he's not going to be a good son or a good daughter. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was mu'tadil. He was moderate. He wasn't an extremist. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he would always advise the people to do the best thing and have rahmah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he, in his final thing, his gatherings, how was he in his gathering, his majalis? He, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, was described that he wouldn't get up or sit down except that you heard dhikrullah azza wa jal. He would be saying dhikr. If he's standing, he'd be saying dhikr. And if he'd be sitting, he'd be saying dhikr. All you hear from the Prophet is remembrance of Allah azza wa jal. And when he went to a place, he would sit. He's very humble. He wouldn't walk all the way through and make everybody disturbed. He would sit where the gathering was, and the people would turn around and face him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Prophet was patient with people when he needed to be, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And people did not interrupt when the Prophet spoke. They didn't yawn out loud. They didn't blow their nose out loud. They didn't sit and talk when the Prophet was speaking, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And if you have to understand, the ulama say, Imam Malik, he said when people recite hadith, and we're reciting a hadith, they should remain silent because it is as if the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is talking to you. So why are you talking loud? And in the Quran, Allah warns, don't raise your voice over the voice of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Imam Malik, who is from the Salaf of this ummah, he took this ayah of Quran, he said we shouldn't talk when the hadith is being said, or verse of the Quran. And he, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would be like the father to these people, to the Sahaba. They looked at him as the father, always smiling, gentle when he needed to be, stern when he needed to be, and harsh when the time called for it. And he was like a father, and a father, sometimes gentle, and sometimes harsh. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is, mashallah, the hadith. We don't have time to go into this beautiful hadith. And people should buy this book, Shama'il al-Tirmidhi. A famous book, available in Arabic and English. Go and read this book. Beautiful book, written over 1,200 years, this book. MashaAllah, describing the Prophet in detail, sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam. And now you may be thinking, well, طيب, يعني, what's the point of this khutbah? MashaAllah, يعني, any fa'idah? Well, fawaid. Let me tell you something. Our youth are facing a crisis. I'm not exaggerating. Our young men and our young women are facing a big crisis right now. And maybe some of you don't know, but they come to me and they explain, and I get anonymous phone calls, and I get emails, and I don't know who gives my number out to some people. I get phone calls. Youth are facing a crisis. And you have to understand that we are living in a non-Muslim country that, because of us, has yet to become Muslim. Because of our bad behavior, they've yet to accept Islam. And this is another problem and another khutbah. But because of this, our youth are faced with people calling them to homosexuality. Now, homosexuality is okay. Our youth are being called to underage pregnancy. A young brother told me, he said, in his school, there's a girl, non-Muslim, 13 years of age, pregnant. We're saying astaghfirullah. But I want to know what you're going to do about it to protect your daughter. Because this girl is an example to people. And our youth are in the middle of this. Our youth, like Imam al-Ghazali says, they're like this jewel, jawhara, and you put it in the rubbish. What's going to happen to this jewel, this jawhar? It's going to become dirty. And our youth are stuck in this place. And they're facing all kinds of things. They're facing pressures now to accept homosexuality. They're accepting pressures now to believe that there's no such thing as God. They're accepting pressures now that Islam is an extreme religion. They're accepting pressures now, peer pressure, you have to have a girlfriend, otherwise there's something wrong with you. They're accepting pressure now from all different angles. And those who are going to decent schools, private schools, don't think your children are not getting these type of things. They're getting even worse, some people, subhanAllah. They're getting pressure now to accept afkar or aqaid that are against our religion. They're getting ideas like evolution. They're getting ideas where no such thing as God, and debating. And a lot of our youth feel intimidated when teachers criticize them and make them look stupid. And they come with these fancy physics, like Stephen Hawking, this man in a wheelchair, who doesn't believe in God, and he's got some physics. His physics is not going to help him when you're on the qiyamah, when you're sitting in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, trying to disprove Allah exists. And subhanAllah, and then we have pressure on our youth to feel ashamed of being Muslim. Some of our girls don't want to wear the hijab. All of these things, and it's like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, that shaitan will attack from the front, from the right, from the left, from above, and underneath. And our youth are being attacked, and our parents know nothing about it, and our imams are not talking about it. And we have to talk about it, and we have to protect our youth. And this khutbah is recorded. Let your child, let your daughter listen to it, inshaAllah ta'ala. Let them benefit from this khutbah. طيب. So what's the connection between this and the khutbah? The connection, for those who can't connect, is that if we do not have ta'alluq with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if we don't push him forward as a role model, if we don't explain to our youth, this is the man to come to, this is the man to love. Our youth, they love more pop stars. If you ask them to describe the latest pop star, or the latest movie star, or the latest football player, or the formation of a football team, who's up front, who's centre back, who's in defence, or who's in goal, they'll be able to tell you in detail. But tell them, how did the Prophet look like? How tall was he? What was his skin like? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You can't do it. Why? And then when your child goes astray, and you're going to come, and you're worried, well, you didn't connect him to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah Azza wa Jal has sent to you and to I a man sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, bashar, laysa kal bashar sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to connect. And these people, subhanAllah, some people, they attend this meeting with the government about how to deal with people, some of our youth who are like the Khawarij. And subhanAllah, a man stood up and said, we need to get back to the Prophet ﷺ. We need to follow him, get back to his example. And we need people to explain to our youth who he was, what he looked like, how he was, how he dealt with non-Muslims, how he dealt with Muslims, and how his seerah was. And this is the answer. Despite this, we find people saying, this is not what, you can't tell somebody to follow the Sunnah or to follow the Prophet and all these problems disappear. Why not? Why not? You think there's somebody better? You think there's somebody else going to solve your problems? Solve your drink problems, your drug problems, your child's problems? Mahada wallahi. Nobody is going to sort these problems out unless you connect your daughter and your son to محبة هذا النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ثم اتباع النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه في السر والعلانية إن شاء الله تعالى. And this is the point of this khutbah. And inshallah ta'ala, if you don't, I'm warning, wallahi, I'm warning the people here. If you don't connect your child, if you don't connect your daughter to this Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're going to connect themselves to somebody else. And this person is going to connect them to the hellfire. And I've told you, Allah mani bari minhum inshaAllah, and I've told you, سمع من سمعه, جهل من جهله, عرف من عرفه. Like between me and Allah Azza wa Jal, خلاص, I put it on the plate and I can't be held responsible for it to Allah Azza wa Jal. If you don't connect your son, don't connect your daughter to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to a people and the ulama who resemble him, the ulama who follow him, outwardly and inwardly, you're going to have disaster. And inshallah, this Sunday, inshallah ta'ala, we're having a gathering in which we have a sheikh, mashallah, coming from London, who spent from the ages of 9 years of age studying with the ulama in many parts of the world. And mashallah, and he's coming here to give a talk in this mosque this Sunday between Maghrib and Isha. Bring yourself, bring your son. Forget his football, forget his Xbox, forget your TV, forget the football. Come, between Maghrib and Isha, bring yourself, bring your wife, let her sit in the back here, inshallah. There's a TV, she can see. Convince them. Try anything to bring them to the mosque. Tell them we're going to go out afterwards for a meal. You're going to buy them a present. Think what to do to bring your son, to save your son, to save your daughter before it's too late. And inshallah, this talk will be between Maghrib and Isha. And inshallah ta'ala, for the women, many of our brothers complain that their wives not doing good, their wives talk back, their wives have no adab, their wives have no akhlaq. And alhamdulillah, because of this, alhamdulillah, we've set up a class. The faqih, myself, will be teaching, inshallah, the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa sallam, designed for the women. Bring your daughter, inshallah, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the center. Every Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the center. MashaAllah, many women come from different parts of Cardiff, but it's not enough. The women from this area, subhanAllah, mashi hujjah lahum. They have no hujjah not to come to these classes. Bring your wife, let your wife come. Because if your wife connects herself with the Prophet, she'll be a good wife to you. Inshallah ta'ala. And finally, inshallah, this Wednesday, there's a new class for women to learn the Quran. Inshallah, between the time of 9:30 and 11:30 every Wednesday in the center, inshallah, just for the women. And a woman will be teaching them, inshallah, Quran and some of the ahkam of tajweed, inshallah ta'ala. Let your wife come, let your wife benefit, inshallah ta'ala. And finally, a brother came and he said his mother is quite sick in the hospital. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal, to the barakah of this Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam, ربنا يشفيها إن شاء الله ظاهرا وباطنا وناس أجمعين. يعلموا أنه لا ينفع للإنسان